What's up, and welcome back to another live stream with Gizmos Lib Tech. We are benchmarking the MSI Vector 16HX today. I've got trusty assistant Rocky already camped out. Hopefully he can stay chill. We'll find out. He's probably going to wake up and start going crazy. Anyway, we got a bunch of different games to test today, and I also have a bunch of I already have a bunch of tests already done and comparison graphs already made. We're going to go over those first thing, going over all of these core synthetic tests, and then we're going to get into the game benchmarking today. Once we have all the game benchmarks completed, then we'll do the unboxing and full comparison style review of the MSI Vector. We got some echo. Oh, this one. Sorry. Yeah, this one had an extra camera on. Thanks for the heads up, Mr. Darren. Okay, so let's just let's give it a fresh go at it. All right, what's up, and welcome to my live stream of the MSI Vector 16HX. This is probably the budget king of gaming laptops because you can get a 5070 Ti for as low as $1299 with a dang good processor, and we're gonna go over the deals that you can get with this laptop. There's a lot of different configs, and we'll start off with that, and then we'll go into the synthetic tests, and then we'll get into all of the game benchmarks for today. So this is going to be the focus, is primarily benchmarking today, a chill live stream, and if you're not familiar, I'm kind of switching up my content a little bit. The benchmarks are chill, more focused just around collecting data and creating graphs and comparing the data versus other laptops. And then I'm going to compile it down and edit all of that down into a tightly concise video, less than an hour from, hopefully less than an hour from like many hours of streaming. But we're going to keep the live stream today to about 2 hours in total. So we're going to try to move through the games as far as we can. We might have to do 2 or 3 live streams. So expect this to be a multi-part series, probably 2 or 3. We'll see. I think we can go through them faster now that we figured out how to benchmark more of them. So Hydra Hashan says, hi, so the same laptop is listed for $1,300 on Walmart. Yeah, we're gonna go over that deal here in a moment. How's it gonna perform? And it's linked in the description down below, by the way, if you wanna get get this laptop for $1,300 with a different processor. And it might be a different display. Gotta double check the display and the CPU. The GPU doesn't change, the chassis doesn't change, but the display and the CPU can change depending on which config. Or you can also go for like the 5080 version, which is also on sale. So we're gonna go over all those deals here in a moment. How is it gonna perform in esports like Fortnite? Can I max out the 240 hertz refresh rate? Definitely could hit 240 FPS in Fortnite, without a doubt, with the Ryzen or Intel, especially on low settings. So, okay. So briefly, let's go over the different specs. There's a lot of different specs for this one. And this is the Intel version, but yeah, we've got the Intel 275HX RTX 5070 Ti, 32 gigs of DDR5, 5600, 2 terabyte SSD, QHD plus 240 hertz, 100% DCI-P is the claimed color gamut. $2,400 for this laptop we're technically reviewing today. Now, the cheaper versions of the config have slightly different CPUs. So let's go over those. So this one is the 5080 version, same CPU, same display, and it's only $1,949. So don't actually buy the config that we technically have today because it's $450 cheaper to get the 5080 version right now. So linked in the description as well. This one is linked in the description as well. If you want to pick up this one, this deal is still active. The 5080 version for $1,949. The Vector A16HX with the Ryzen 9 8940HX. This is a 16-core, 32-thread part with the RTX 5070 Ti, 16 gigs of DDR5, 5200 RAM, so a little bit lower RAM, but you get the same QHD display, and this is the one linked in the description. It is currently active deal going on Walmart. If you do use the links in the description to buy one of these, it does help support the channel. Now, I'm not here to just sell a laptop. I'm here to test them and show you how they perform and compare the data and see how good it actually is in the long haul and in detail when we actually compare it. But this is the top gaming laptop deal you can probably buy right now in terms of value for your money, getting the most silicon for your money. MSI Vector 16HX, Intel Core Ultra 7 255HX. So this one just has less E-cores. Less E-cores, but it's almost the same performance for games, pretty much should be the same performance for games as the more expensive Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX, at least in theory. Now the downside here is it's a full HD 144 Hz display with only 45% NTSC color gamut, which is just downright terrible. So I don't recommend this version. I would highly recommend this version with the Ryzen chip instead. It's a lot better value bang for your buck. Or going for the 5080 version right now with if you want the Intel Core Ultra 9 275. Because you get the 5080, more VRAM, more CUDA cores, better performance, 1949. Very, very nice. Okay, so let's move on to top competitors. HP Omen Max 16, you get the Ryzen AI 9 HX375, 5070 Ti, and this one has been on sale for about $1,600 in the past. So this is one to keep an eye on. You can get an OLED screen instead of an IPS display if you go for this one, though the value, the straight value is not as good as the Vector. Legion Pro 5i Core Ultra 9 275HX, so same CPU as what we have today, RTX 57 Ti, QHD Plus OLED 165 or 240 depending on how you get it configured, and it's $1,700. So if you want an OLED, you want a Lenovo, this is the way to go probably. Asus Strix G16 with the Ryzen 9 9955HX. So this 16-core 32-thread is the latest generation from Ryzen, and they also have an HX3D version, which if you're after CPU-bound game performance like Fortnite, that's probably the way to go. This laptop I have done detailed tests on. It's a little bit slower than the HX3D version, but it's still extremely fast. And we have seen it on sale for as low as $1,859. So depending on if it goes on sale or not, it could be worth considering. Another high-value, thinner laptop, the Acer Predator Helios Neo 16S AI. Oh my God, that's a terrible name. They really need to reduce the names, lengths in Acer laptops. So this has the same 275HX from Intel with a 5070 Ti and a thinner, lighter chassis, 240 Hz OLED for right now $1,549. I don't know if this deal is still active. Let's just double check it. But this one was one of the very, very, very best deals. Wow, it's even $100 more off than it was. But yeah, if you want to get in any of these deals that are on sale, go to my laptop list, linked in the description down below, and you can investigate, see everything right here at the top. If I clear the search filters, you can see all the current deals that we have listed on this website. And this was updated pretty dang recently. Most of these deals are still going to be active. It's a great time to buy a gaming laptop because next year it's probably going to get really expensive. So as NVIDIA is ramping down GPU production, RAM prices are going up, so now's a good time to snag a deal during the holiday season, which is still, a lot of the deals are still active for like the very best deals on the market. Okay, so those are the top competitors. That's what we're dealing with. Let's get into all of our graph data. And let me check chat as well before we get too far into this. Gendor Temp says, sup dude, it's the Ultra 9 5080 version? No, we have the Ultra 9 5070 Ti version. That's the version we have on display. Should be the same 1600p1 on the Ryzen. I believe that is correct. This should be the same display. On Walmart, there is a G16 listed for $1,400 with the 9955HX, but with a 5060. Yeah, the 5060 is so much worse than a 5070 Ti. That I would not even consider that if you're after GPU performance. Okay. Very nice. Let's get into these benchmark graphs right now. Okay, so display brightness nits sustained. I don't want this to play in a video format. How do I get it to not do video? Do I just go? It was doing it. It was doing it correctly before. Why is it doing it differently now? This makes no sense. Did they change? Canva may have changed how they do their graph previews since the last live stream. Okay, well, this is still going to show us our data just fine. Okay. Nits brightness. See, like it's not interactive. Like I want it to be the interactive version. Let me see if I can Google this right now. Come on. Canva. Interactive. Mode. That button choosing your mode. So I don't want preview. Show page thumbnail. Well, this is frustrating. Let's see here. Choosing the presenter. That button does not exist anymore. Now it's just replaced by a preview button. Present full screen. Okay, nice. I figured it out. Let's go. All right. Is the Neo 16 with Ryzen 9 really that good? It's on the top 1 and 2 in every benchmark list. Yes, it's very, very good. All right, display nits brightness sustained. Vector 16 AI comes in right here, or MSI Vector 16HX comes in at 397 nits with the Spider 5 Elite tool. And that is a very good score overall. It's a very bright QHD display. Not as bright as mini LED or OLEDs, but it's still very good. Now for display contrast, you can see all the OLEDs and mini LEDs up here dominating the top. And then you got the MSI Vector down here with the Legion 9i, the IPS displays basically down here at closer to 1,000:1 contrast ratio, with the Vector coming in at 900:1. Overall, don't expect deep blacks or peaky bright whites with an IPS display. The MSI Vector had 94% of Adobe P3 color gamut, which is very good. It's a very colorful screen overall. Over 100% sRGB, and Adobe RGB was about 90. So in general, I think the Vector is going to be good enough for most people in content creation, though it's not as good for the contrast aspect. If you're trying to represent content that will be displayed on OLED TVs and mini LED displays, it's just not going to be as representative of those type of displays. Now, for memory speed, the MSI Vector 18HX averaged 80.44 gigabits per second, and with a 112 latency, it was pretty good. Like, we had some pretty dang good memory speed. It's right in the middle of the pack. I think for the value laptop that we're dealing with here, it's good. It's DDR5 5600. It's not as fast as the 6400 RAM or the 8000 RAM we've seen in the Flow Z13, which is just insane. The unified RAM speed is super, super fast. But overall, it's very good RAM speed, especially considering this is such an inexpensive laptop. Now, for Cinebench R24, you can see how the Vector starts to struggle a little bit. Its cooling system is not as high-end as the other Intel 275HX laptops on the list. You know, those ones are pushing closer to 2100, and with the Intel 275HX, we got 1919 right here, which is still a very good score, don't get me wrong. It's still going to get the job done, but it's not nearly as quick as, you know, it's that's like up to 10 to 12% difference. I guess up to 15% difference between the top result and bottom result for the Intel 275HX. But considering, again, the price, the value for your money is excellent here. So that's not really the issue, right? The issue is with if you're going to go with the Vector, you're not really going after the very, very best performance on the market. You're going for very good performance for your money. And I think it delivers on that front. Single core score was 131, which is also right in line with the other 275HX laptops. The Blender benchmark combined score, funnily enough, scored significantly worse than the other 5070 Ti's that Asus had. So those are getting closer to 5,312 for the 9955HX 3D version of the Strix 5070 Ti, with the Vector coming in at 4555. So significantly reduced compared to those other ones, but still plenty good enough for a Blender animator if you're trying to get some good animation speed. For CrystalDiskMark, the Vector is the slowest SSD that we've tested all year. It's still sufficiently fast for gaming speeds, but in particular, the write speed was a lot slower. Only 3,620, and I tested this 4 times to ensure it's accurate. The write speed is a lot slower on this SSD for some reason. The read speed, 6,206, is still just as fast as the other PCIe Gen 4 drives. So it's in line for the read, which means game loading times will be just as fast. And I think the write speed being slower is not that big of a deal, honestly. Yeah, I just wouldn't worry about it too much. It's a fast enough SSD, you won't notice the difference. That's my assessment, okay? Time Spy score, 17,766. Very good score overall in Time Spy, especially considering the value here. Comparing it against the competition, we've got the 5070 Ti in the thinner laptops scoring worse than the Vector, and those cost more than the Vector. And so considering the competition, it's doing really good all in all for its Time Spy score. 17,766 is right in line with what a 140 watt ought to do. Now the Vector, I don't think we updated the laptop weight. Let's make sure this is up to date. There it is. That's a little bit out of order. Whatever. Okay. The Vector 16HX should be 2 slots up, just slightly heavier than the Legion Pro 7i. And so it's a heavy laptop. Again, you're not trying to pay a premium price to get the lighter laptop for your money. You're paying for a reasonably priced laptop. And it's okay, I think, if it weighs a little bit more than the average 16-incher. Steel Nomad score, we got 4,075, which was slightly above all the other 5070 Ti's that we have tested so far this year in the Asus lineup. So very good all-in-all performance from the Vector 16HX in the Steel Nomad score. Actually, that's the best 5070 Ti we've tested so far this year in Steel Nomad. And when it comes to Steel Nomad points per pound, the Vector 16HX is not too far up the list. It's on the lower side because it's a heavier 16-inch laptop, and it's got the middle tier 5070 Ti in the chassis. So, I mean, it's still lots of performance per kilogram in my opinion, but it's you know, it's not the best in the world. It's not a super premium thin and light laptop like these other ones up here. So, total volume, the 16HX is also the heaviest 16-inch, and it's the largest volume 16-inch as well. It's chunkier, it's a little bit wider on the sides, a little bit deeper on the back, so it's not going to quite fit into as many backpacks. It's especially chunky compared to something like the Zephyrus G16. It's almost double the size of a Zephyrus G16. So if you're after thinner, lighter, spend the extra money to get a thinner, lighter laptop. So now is the game benchmarks, which we are going to do together. I have done the synthetic tests ahead of time because I don't think they're quite as engaging. And now we can do the synthetic tests, or sorry, now we can do the gaming tests as a live stream. So, yee-hee. All right. Default settings for Dolby Access is set to music balance on my Zephyrus. Changing it to dynamic sounded much better. I usually change it to dynamic as well. That's for my tests. I usually change it to dynamic. So, okay, Apex Legends is up first. And I suppose if you guys want to see the actual, we can briefly show you some of the actual data here. So, let me zoom in. Like the actual test data that I graphed. And this gives you some more data information here. So 20 nits is the lowest you can get on the display brightness, and 375 or 397 is the best in terms of brightness. Contrast also went up when we went to a lower brightness. For nits color gamut, you can see that we added 7% onto the P3 and Adobe values because the Spider 5 Elite underestimates. Now for Time Spy, I did an overclocked run. This is a 200/200 overclock, and we got 18,236 for our overclock, and that's quite nice. This is the standard stock 00. I had to retest Spider 5 Elite several times to get my brightness to actually register for some reason. Here's the Cinebench score. And here is the Cinebench R24 with 9 minutes and 36 seconds. Average watts during the run was 133.59. So that shows you why we only got 1919 on our Cinebench score, because only getting 133 watts is not that high compared to the competition. Like the Legion 9i, I believe, did 175 watts. Like the Neo does like 180 something watts. Yeah, it does a lot more watts when you do get a better cooling system in here. Notice how the P cores were not throttling, just some of the E cores were throttling. So some of the P cores did throttle a little bit, I guess, but not during the screenshot at the 9-minute mark. So the E cores throttling to me says maybe the thermal interface material may not be covering the CPU quite perfectly. The core temperature on average was only 81 degrees though for the 10-minute run. We did peak at 98 though. So it did thermal throttle at the start. And this was with max fans running, and the max fans on this laptop are quite loud. So here's 8 minutes into the test run. A little more data for you. Here's the Blender benchmark. Here's one of the CrystalDiskMark runs. I ran it several times just because I wanted to make sure this write speed was not bugged out. But yeah, it's very consistent performance overall. And yeah, so that's all of the tests for the synthetic tests. Let's get into some gaming benchmarks. All MSI laptops does not have G-Sync or FreeSync. That's correct. Yeah. Vector is probably the king if you want best bang for the buck. That is probably correct. But let's, before I like dub it the king, I like to make sure that it actually runs properly without crazy bugs and stuff. So that's why we're going to test it in a whole bunch of games today. All right, so we're going to lowest settings, because this is Apex. And one. Aim down sight. Gameplay, always sprint on. Okay. And now we're going to the firing range to start out. Do you personally game on a gaming laptop or a desktop? I game just on laptops, pretty much. I've been using the ROG Ally a lot, ROG Ally X. And I'm currently using the Zephyrus G16 as my main laptop that I'm streaming from. But I have been switching my laptop around a lot. So I've used 4 different laptops. I used the Flow Z13 for a while, the Scar 18 for a while. Let's upgrade that. Now I'm on the Zephyrus G16, and I did use the G16 5090 version. Now I'm using the 5070 Ti version. And I've been really enjoying using that overall. So just looking, this test right here, in particular, I'm looking to see, is there noticeable, visible ghosting on the display as I move the mouse back and forth? And I'm not seeing anything. It's very clear because it's very high FPS. We're doing 240 hertz QHD right now, but we're also doing 300 FPS. So we're filling in all of the frames very consistently, and everything's looking very smooth with very little, very little screen tearing or anything like that. The screen tearing issue with G-Sync being missing primarily happens when you are playing like a game that's very difficult to run and you might not be getting over 60 FPS, especially between the 40 to 100 FPS range. That's where having G-Sync can really be advantageous. Does this model have 2 times 2280 SSD slots, or is one of them the smaller one? I'm not sure, CJ. I haven't taken this laptop apart yet. But I probably can find that out for you if I check. Just checking here on. Yeah, so the Vector 16 actually has a Gen 5 compatible slot and a Gen 4 compatible slot. Wow. I did not realize this had a Gen 5 slot in it. It doesn't come with a Gen 5 drive, but if you want to get a Gen 5 drive and put it in, you can. That's amazing. All right. Bots Royale. Wild card. We'll just do the mixtape. So right now the goal is just to see how he handles the FPS in games. Like MSI is delivering an amazing product for your money as far as like the silicon and the display goes and the chassis and the cooling. I think it's all really amazing for your money. The main downside is just the lack of G-Sync and Advanced Optimus. Like if they could just fix that, that'd be a whole lot more reviewers that could easily recommend this without having to say that every single time they talk about recommending it. What would you pick, the Legion Pro 7i or the Neo 16? If I could get the Neo 16 with a USA keyboard, that would be my #1 laptop I would pick. Probably. But they don't offer, maybe they do now. But I have two Neo 16s. I have the Intel version of the Neo, and I have the HX3D version of the Neo in-house right now. They'll go back to XMG probably at the beginning of next year. And yeah, I mean, I've had a good experience on them. The main issue with the Intel one was there was like odd performance happening on the Intel version. Like it had worse 1% lows, really like significantly reduced performance compared to most gaming laptops out there for the Intel 275HX. But it was also, that was the first one that I tested. So I don't know if there's been updates and fixes for that yet. But there was something going on. The HX3D version, though, has ran flawless and has been the top of my benchmark charts for the most part. The main issue with the XMG in general is just that it costs a lot more than the Legion, in America at least. So it's kind of like if you're going to want to get that chassis, you probably want to go to a different reseller that charges less in America. So that's the tricky part. If you're over in Europe, though, I think it's a no-brainer to go with the Neo 16. I think that becomes a lot more competitive and a very compelling choice. So, all right, so here we are. We're rocking low settings. I need more mouse space. And we're just going to play this for about 5 minutes, see if we can get a few kills. All right, I want to go harass people over on C. Maybe I'll go on top of the roof of this building. Averaging, oh, someone's really close. I should have just kept pummeling him with my scout. Maybe I would have been able to kill him. Oh my gosh. I missed like the first 6 shots against him. And that's just bad aim. We got a kill, yes! It's gonna be the same guy again. I really want to kill him. I'm just gonna make it my mission to kill him. Okay. Where is he? Oh my gosh. I'm panicking. Oh my god! What an annoyingly long ult that was. It was so long. Ah, we almost killed him. Hey, yeah. Oh, I'm having a great time. So far, no major issues with the gameplay. Performance is like as good as it gets pretty much in Apex Legends. How's a teammate? Uh-oh. We're losing. B. Let's go try to save B. Oh boy. There's no reason we should have won that, but all right. He just missed really bad. No. Ooh, we can respawn right here. All right, let's go. I'm gonna go for C probably. Oh yes. Oh, got stunned, couldn't move, and then annihilated. All right, so 272, 185 is our FPS average the whole time we played there. That is as good as it gets in Apex Legends. I am super impressed overall. There we go. I think, whoa, my camera angle was a bit off there, guys, sorry. Fixed it. How much difference in chassis quality Is it compared from the 13980 HX Vector from last year to the Raider? 2 times the price for the Raider, but it looks sick. Yeah, the Raider definitely has a slight improvement to build quality. I would say it's really minor overall, though. Like, I would not say that it's a huge difference in quality. Arc Raiders appears to have not been saved for some reason, even though it told me it was ready to go. We may have to skip some games and return to them in part 2 of this live stream. Quibinet says, I moved from this to the Raider with the 9955 HX3D and 5090, but still this is a great laptop. Wanted 300 FPS for the OLED display. Oh, for your OLED. You must have an external OLED. Nice. All right, so this update for Arc Raiders is only 1 gig. So let's try to give it a couple minutes to finish this update. Looks like it's going to go pretty fast, actually. So. Yeah, if you want the most possible FPS, especially for esports games, getting the HX3D chip is the way to go. Okay, now it's patching the files. This right here is where, if you had a faster SSD, you might see some improvement in speed. We're only getting 2.8 gigabits per second. And if we had a faster SSD, maybe it would be done already. Maybe. So, but this is still really fast. This is like one of the only situations where it's really going to be super beneficial to have a faster write speed. The only huge drawback for this MSI Vector model is the fan noise. It's constantly on. Oh yeah, we did not turn on max fans. Also, brace yourself, or I'm about to turn on max fans. Okay, here comes the max fans. Whee! It's very loud. All right, Arc Raiders is next. Let's see if it runs well or not. Let's find out. I actually did a whole Arc Raider run day before yesterday. I went ahead and played through a whole run and went back down again. It was all right. Like, I don't really get the draw of Arc Raiders personally. I mean, I get it. I get the draw. It's like, it's kind of like PUBG, but instead of everyone trying to get down to the one survivor left, you're trying to be one of the survivors that actually gets to use one of the elevators to go down. So it's kind of like a loot and then survive to escape type of game. You know, I probably just need to try doing a bunch of runs, probably like 20, 30 runs, so I can get the flow of the game a little better and see if I can really get into it. It's obviously a very popular game, and it seems very well refined overall. All right, so the way we're going to test this primarily is going to be with frame generation off, QHD, no VSync, no frame rate limit, full resolution with DLSS on quality, transformer model, and low graphic preset except for textures and view distance. I'm just debating about anti-aliasing. We could also probably put anti-aliasing, I think. I think that's good. Textures and view distance. I should double check the Legion 9 iStream. Did I do it? I can't remember if I did anti-aliasing. I think I did no anti-aliasing. I'm pretty confident. Okay. View distance, textures, and static RTX. So no ray tracing. This is like a competitive shooter is the way we're going to treat this. And we can sell some of these items. So, ooh. Oh, explosive compound. Nice. Magnets are worth a lot. Turbo pump now. We're talking 2,000. Jolt mine blueprint. Let's send a stash. Wow, fertilizer is actually worth 4,000. So 1,000 per fertilizer. All right, I like it. All right, I'm making money now. Okay, but we need more ammo. Let's get 100 more ammo. All right. That should be plenty of ammo. We're just trying to benchmark. It's fine. We'll just take 80 with us. All right. Is this screen OLED or IPS? It is IPS. Have the same one. Doesn't work with Crucial 2 times 48 gig 5600 stick. Be careful. Interesting. Starts but crashes in 10 minutes. Interesting. Adriana Clark says, I just got the Legion Pro 7i with 275HX, and it's sad to say that it has some micro stutter issue. I'm hoping I can fix it to get my money worth with this system. I hope so too. Good luck with that. Oh, we are far away from our benchmark. I'm tempted to just like restart and go back in again and hopefully get a better starting location because we are so far away from our waypoint. Okay, so we're getting 110 FPS, 103, 102. Okay, it really depends on what we're looking at here, where we're looking. Let's go unarmed. We got a long way to run, so we're probably not looking. You know, we can probably try to loot some of these things if we... There's got to be a quick click button, right? Like, instead of having to triple click it, like it should be quick click. That's how I learned the buttons in this game. Let me make sure this camera is set up just perfect. All right, we got a long way to run. Let's just button up the hatches and keep running. Our goal is to benchmark here. We're not trying to actually play the game. Though running across the map probably gives you a really good idea of realistic performance. And performance right now, 144 watts, 120. We're bouncing around 120 to 150 watts there. That's really good amount of wattage. Let's go down. Okay, we can go faster. Nice. $71 on the GPU, 75 on the CPU. Performance is rock solid. 1% lows has been really good. The frame time graph has also been very consistent, I would say, generally speaking. Might as well grab some plants while we're at it. If there's easy loot, might as well grab it. Ruh-roh. Someone just got lit up. This game is really freaky with the robots flying around. Whoa, look at that giant crawler thing. Okay, wow, I've never seen that before. Freaky. Oh. Okay, well, it's not letting me climb there. Oh my gosh, that thing is getting closer and closer. Okay, stop sliding and start running, please. Oh, scary. No, it's not going to let me go that way either. Gotta get closer to this thing. Oh my gosh. Please don't have good sensors. There should be a ladder that I can climb up. Yeah, but that ladder was terrible in that it didn't let me go where I really wanted to go very quickly at all. Maybe we'll try going up a different part. Very nice. Yeah, the biggest issue with stuttering on the Legion Pro 7i is probably going to be related to VRAM or maybe CPU thermal throttling or just game optimization, or maybe if you don't have all your drivers up to date and BIOS up to date. And some games just have really, really bad optimization in general. So, all right, well, we averaged 126 FPS on average to get to our benchmarking spot. And now, here at the benchmark spot, we're doing 107, 106. This is the benchmarking location, sitting on this edge, looking across over here at the black thing centered up. 107.76 for low settings. This is our official benchmark for Arc Raiders. All right, now for fun, let's go to max settings. Let's say you were trying to just have a great time with high settings and with ray tracing on Epic. So maximum settings, DLSS on quality, no frame gen still. Now we are doing around 60, 61, 62. So it's still going to be very playable even on max settings, but you get a lot more FPS if you go to low. All right, let's see if we can get out of here. That elevator's closed. This elevator is still open. Or we can just go, wow. Oh, we lived. Oh my gosh. Was that thing shooting at me? I don't know. I'm freaking running for this hatch. Let's see if we can make it down. Whoa, he shot me. Dead. Whoa. Am I not dead? Oh, I'm in the surrender mode. Okay. No! Ah! Okay. Arc Raiders, fun. Time to move on to Baldur's Gate 3. We can make a comparison graph with our Baldur's Gate 3 data, so this will be good. I should probably make a guide, like if your laptop is stuttering, here are the things to do. It's one of the most common questions I get, like performance issues and stuttering issues, you know. How do you deal with them, especially on the more budget systems? Oftentimes those get the worst. Frankie says, GPU stays pretty cool, CPU not so much. That is very common. That is very common. Options, video, no VSync, QHD+. We need to go to DLSS, quality, ultra, DLSS quality, QHD+, so let's rock it. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we get. Averaging 230, 235, 98 for a 1% lows. We had a little bit of a stutter blip, not much, but just a little. The most likely situation where that occurs is when it changes between different characters. CPU, GPU temps are looking pretty dang good. $71 on the GPU, 77, 78 on the CPU. CPU wattage pull is very reasonable at 60 watts and still maintaining a relatively very smooth performance. 154. I've never seen that guy go that way before doing the test, LOL. 243, 153. All right. $243, $153. All right, Baldur's Gate 3 benchmark. The top of the chart is the HX3 cheat. The top of the chart is the HX3D at 311 FPS. Then we have the Vector 16HX coming in at 243 FPS. Wow, that's actually matching performance with the HX3D and the Strix G16. 1% lows, slightly better on the Strix G16. Hey, Rocky. Hi, buddy. Come here. Come here. Yeah, yeah, meow, 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 meow. Mwah. Okay. Upside down, kitty. Okay. All right, so the Vector 16HX actually almost matching the SCAR 18's performance with a 5080. Just a few FPS behind, 243 versus 245. And I would say this MSI is shockingly good performance. Like, beating all the other 5070 Ti's I've tested so far this year, even beating some 5090 and 5080 in the Zephyrus series. So, very good performance for this Vector 16. Rare. Okay. Trying to make sure the camera is still good. Cool. All right. Next game. Hi Gizmo, should I wait for the Legion Pro 7, 55 HX3D with 5090 variant, or go for the Ultra 9 275 5090 variant? I don't think that they're going to release a 5090 with the 9955 HX3D. I think they've just decided it will only go up to a 5080. Unless they've announced that it's going up to a 5090. But I don't think they will. So in terms of performance, the 5090 version is going to be very, very good. Like, it's not like it's a... I think it mainly comes down to performance. In GPU-bound games, the 5090 with Intel is still going to outperform the AMD. In CPU-bound games, that's where you're going to get the HX3D just killing it in performance. Man, my Apex Legends, I was tilted down too far on some of that footage. Oh well. All right, so we're loading up Battlefield 6. Adrian Clark says, the 5080 should run on high settings though with no issues, but after I saw all the reviews, it was too late. I already have the 275HX and missing the best features on the AMD. One fair warning that I'll say about the Legion Pro 7 is I have seen some people say that there are stuttering issues with the Pro 7 HX3D, and I asked them for some videos of the issue, and then they like sent me this video that made no sense. So I don't know if they just had a bad unit or what. So I'm withholding judgment on that until I can get more information. So Battlefield 6, we're going to load into the tutorial match against bots and benchmark it on low. Takes a while to compile these shaders. Too bad we can't do anything else while we're waiting. All right, let's go to our graphics. Where's our resolution? Very weird place to put the resolution at the bottom. Performance preset will be on low. It's the low preset. So that means everything will be on low, except textures we can put to overkill. It said reload is required, dang. All right. Well, let's make sure the settings are set correctly. I want to make sure there's no frame rate limiter. And I want to make sure that we're using DLSS on quality with no frame gen. Very nice. So low settings, textures on overkill. Gotta restart it now. Legion Pro 7 9955HX 3D will get you higher 1% lows in CPU-bound games and maybe some higher average FPS in Valorant, Fortnite, Battlefield series, Cyberpunk as well. Yeah, and Johnny the Rabbit, I also saw like 5% more performance even in mostly GPU-bound games. It just helps output a little bit more FPS. But that was with the two XMG chassis. Like I said, I felt like the Intel one was a little bit bugged. So, I don't know. I probably need to compare the 9955HX 3D, like with the Legion Pro 7 versus the Pro 7i maybe, because I have the data on the Pro 7i. So that would be a good comparison probably. Oh my gosh, the kitty cats are wrestling. All right, training grounds, initiation battle royale. That is the right one, right? Yeah, I think that is the right one. All right. Melissa says, another question, Gizmo. The HX3D variant comes with 5600 megahertz RAM, whereas the 275 comes with 6400. So the faster RAM should compensate for the difference between both the CPUs, right? Not really, because the 3D V cache inside of the CPU is much, much faster, much lower latency than the system RAM. And that's why it helps in CPU-bound games. because it can access the data for the CPU in and out, in and out, in and out, really, really fast, much faster than trying to store it in the system memory. Kingston Fury Impact 5600 CL40 will have an impact in games, but you have to be careful with 5600 CL40 for the 9955 HX3D. Only SK Hynix will work. Interesting. We've got a teammate. 152 FPS. Yeah, the HX3D V-Cache will have a bigger impact than using faster memory. Yeah, I would agree, Johnny. Yeah. So 151 FPS while we're waiting here in the lobby for Battlefield 6. And if you're curious about what games we're going to be testing next, it's going to be right here. Black Myth, Wukong, Expedition 33, Counter-Strike 2. Those are the upcoming games. I would suggest buying it with 32 gigs of RAM. Yeah, you don't want to have to upgrade the RAM out of the box later, because it's really, really bad later to buy that later. Let's hope that we are in the right mode here. I'm starting to think we might not be in the right mode, but CPU, GPU temps are solid in the 70s. Wattages are also impressive. Where? Okay, so this is the benchmark site right here. And we're dead before we can even run. This sucks. This is against real players. We're supposed to be playing against bots. So I don't know. We're supposed to be playing against the training bots rather than real players. So that was clearly a real player because he beamed me. It must be Battle Royale 101. No? Well, maybe we just got unlucky. Is there any way to make it so we don't get a squad person? I feel bad. I feel bad leaving a teammate, but I gotta try to get the benchmark done. Yeah, both Lenovo and Dell have both said they're going to raise prices. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know how much they're going to raise prices, but starting in 2026, at least some of the companies are planning to raise prices. I think the thing is there's a decent amount of stock laying around. That's why we're still getting good sales even after Black Friday. And so as long as there's still stock laying around, I think the prices aren't going to go up too much. Like the newest models that just dropped, yeah, those will probably be full price. But I think the laptop sales will continue as long as the stock of the laptops that their inventory, if their inventory is still brimming with extra laptops they need to sell, prices should remain pretty good. I think that's the reason why NVIDIA is lowering production. I think they have too much inventory sitting on hand right now. And they much prefer, NVIDIA is a company that prefers to keep as much in reserve as possible. They would rather be running low on laptops than having an excess of laptops, because then they can't sell the laptops at as high of prices. So, and they're also risking laptops sitting there and losing value over time, and then they sell 6 months or a year later when they're not as valuable. So they want to be able to sell the units immediately rather than waiting. This is an interesting bug right here. Okay, there we go. Our teammate is God of War Ragnarok. Apparently there are 12 other real players in this game. So I do need to watch out for real players. This time I hope no real player lands next to me. I think someone may have seen me flying down and they're like, hey, let's just go kill this person that's flying down. And then they landed right behind me and then shot me. Which is a good strategy to kill someone, but it's kind of lame. Especially when it's an initiation, it's supposed to be just like a test run. Where am I supposed to go here? Why does this not have... This is a different section of the map? Is this a different section of the map? I do not see the place where I usually benchmark currently. Ah, here it is, I think. Nice. Okay, and we're running. We're not waiting, we're just going for it, because we do not want to risk dying right away again. We run the yellow line until we get past the truck here. Yay, 162, 100. Sure. All right, and for fun, if you did want to run on ultra settings, what would you get? Going to the Overkill settings with DLSS on quality. All right. Still some very good performance, over 100 FPS or right at 100 FPS with Overkill enabled. Dun, dun, dun. We're getting shot. And we're running, though. Okay, 101.64. Nice. Let's see if we can kill a couple people. We can't move our red dot. All right, I like this gun better, but still no sights for us. Nice. All right, we got a good gun now. Let's go hunting. I'm not sure where to go looking for someone to kill. .101 FPS. There's still 40 people left alive in the game right now. Custom weapon drop. Oh my. Got him. He had the drop on me too. He probably has a teammate around here somewhere. Where did he go? I don't have any more armor pieces. Can't see. I really dislike being on the low ground here. Aye! Okay. Same guy that killed him, killed me. All right, can you finish me off? You can finish me off. Go ahead. Oh, can you hit me? Oh, you can't hit me. Oh, my. Oh, shit. All right. Good kill, sir. Black Myth Wukong. Let's go. So right now, I'm compiling data for all these different games. And once we have enough data, we'll make comparison graphs for every single game. Once we got like at least 3 or 4 laptops, probably 4 laptops of data each. Something like that. Expedition 33 needs an update. Oh boy. I think Black Myth Wukong also has to load shaders, if I recall correctly. So, what did you guys think? Did you think the Do you guys think the Black Friday deals were great this year? I saw some reports that overall sales for gaming equipment and game purchases in general were down this year, the lowest they've been in 30 years. Pretty interesting. I don't know if that's actually 100% true. It was just an article headline I saw. But I'm throwing it to chat. I think my thought on it is that people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling economically with the tariffs, the inflation, the increased prices on a lot of goods. And so their extra spending they can drop on things like gaming equipment is not as high this year. So I think it's kind of just to be expected. Very high wattage power pull, 150 watts, 89 degrees on the CPU right now. Compiling shaders. I think desktop equipment in particular is super expensive unless you're buying a pre-built. Pre-builts are still decently priced, and gaming laptops are kind of like pre-builts. Like the pre-built companies priced in, their RAM prices that they had. So I think that's a big part of why laptop prices are still really good right now. But once the current inventory sells out, that's when the pricing is going to go crazy. Because then the RAM prices are going to impact the new inventory coming in. So right now I just think that I think laptop pricing in general will stay low for a little while until the current inventory is sold, and then it's going to spike up. I don't know how long that's going to take. That's the thing. And it's this really weird situation where a lot of people are like, oh, prices are pretty decent still. I should probably buy now. But then they're like, oh, I don't have money to buy right now. So I think it's that kind of catch-22. I think a lot of people will regret not being able to buy for the next month or two when they see the prices for the next year and a half. The tricky part is, I think the really tricky part is just there's only so much RAM to go around. And OpenAI and Stargate and all the AI companies have basically pre-purchased all the newly available RAM that was up for sale, which was like at least 40% of the market. They like just like pre-ordered all of it for the next year plus. So then you have Micron pulling Crucial out of the RAM running, and that's going to reduce RAM availability even more. And so it's going to take SK Hynix and Samsung a while to ramp up their production system, their factories. And obviously everyone's going to want to expand their factories right now to increase production. The thing is, it just takes 2 years to be able to do that. So if Samsung and SK Hynix are like, yeah, let's double the production, then, you know, they may actually be screwed if there's a reverse trend and, you know, demand drops down again. So they probably don't want to ramp the production too much. They want to keep it into a middle ground. So I think that's where we're at right now. Okay, shaders are done. Let's get into the benchmark. Dun 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 dun. I just disagreed with that one and it let me continue, which is interesting. I think it was one of those privacy invasion agreements. You agreed to have your privacy invaded, and I just said no. So display, QHD, VSync off. We'll probably have to restart the game when we get this. So since this is a AAA single title, we're doing DLSS on quality, which is 66, 67%. Ray tracing on to very high, and we're going to do cinematic. We're going to apply these, and then we're going to have to restart the game. Such is the life of a benchmarker. You can do it. You can stop it. You can. I believe in you. Might as well get that downloading while we're waiting for it to close. And now it'll pause. But it should resume again once we get out of the game. So. In the past, for Black Myth Wukong, I was not running ray tracing enabled. But now I am. Hopefully it's not a mistake. We'll see. Some laptops maybe are going to really struggle. QHD plus, no VSync, DLSS on quality, frame gen 2x, ray tracing high, cinematic. Everything looks good. Let's hop into the match against this guy. Ooh. Wow. Okay, well, our frame time graph is messed up. So we're going to need to capture our data with frame view. All right, so here we go. Wow, that was some hard stutters there. Our VRAM is at 9.4 gigs, so definitely a lot utilized. Oh, we need to heal up here. A lot of stuttering going on. I feel like that's probably due to the ray tracing effects being enabled. All the more reason to just turn them off. Ay, ay, ay. All right, I feel like that's a good, we should be able to get a good average FPS here. Let's see what we got. 63 average FPS, 15 for our 1% lows. So gonna have to turn ray tracing off if you want to have a playable experience in Black Myth Wukong. And this is the reason why I'm thinking I should probably benchmark this with ray tracing off, because it's too difficult to run with it on. The problem if we turn it off now, well, I think we'll have to restart. Yeah, so we have to restart the game. I really wish it wasn't the case. How big is the download for this thing? It's only a gig. Let's just retest this real quick because I want to get a realistic playable FPS. See if we can get that just by turning off ray tracing. I think we'll be able to. So our goal is obviously, if we're having frame gen on, our goal for our final FPS is to be above 90, and otherwise we should turn frame gen off. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. And yeah, our 1% lows are also looking a lot better. Let's go ahead and start a new benchmark. Owie. Wow. Almost killed me already. Okay. Okay, we'll stop the benchmark here. And we averaged 104.76. So yeah, that's a whole lot better. Expedition 33 is next. I would love to get at least 10 games in if we can. And I love the fact that Expedition 33 won Game of the Year, so I'd love to be able to get this benchmarked if we can. Plus we have a comparison graph we can use for Expedition 33 to give us some more good comparison data. So right now it's reserving space, I think on my external SSD. Chat has been very quiet today, the last 20 minutes or so. If you have any questions, down to talk about anything. All right, and there's nothing is off, I mean, like there's some things that are off limits, but for the most part, most things are not off limits. Anything tech related, pretty much. I can tell you that I have been playing about 2 to 3 hours a day of Hades 2 lately, and it has been amazing. I have really enjoyed playing Hades 2. I beat Hades 1 a bunch of times, and Hades 2 has been just as good, and in some ways, the systems in Hades 2 are even better. Plus, I've been playing on the Xbox Ally X for that experience, and it's been just a really great gaming experience. You know, like playing 120 FPS. The battery has been lasting about 3 hours, probably 2 to 3 hours. But I only charged to 80%. And then I've been using my external XR glasses with it too. So combining those two things together, the battery life, I think when it was fully charged would probably be about 3.5 hours, if I were to guess. I haven't actually measured it. Sometimes you lose track of time. It's hard to estimate exactly, but I should actually do some actual measurements. For sure, though, with the Xbox Ally X, if you drop the FPS cap from 120 down to like 60 or 90, like it directly drops the amount of wattage the system uses, like drastically. So you go from 60 to 120 FPS, it's almost like from 10 watts of usage to like 20 watts of usage, something like that. I don't think the XR glasses actually take almost any extra wattage. At least it's not reporting any extra wattage, because it turns off the internal display and then it's just powering small little micro OLED displays in the glasses. So I think in theory it should use less power, but maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. But either way, laying in bed or sitting on one of my beanbag chairs behind me and playing with the XR glasses, Hades 2 for hours, it's been a really great experience. So, all right. Expedition 33 is ready to go. I did also fire up Expedition 33 on the Xbox Ally X, and it was also playing that game much better than my original Ally. The original Ally can play it, but I ran into a lot of stuttering when running around the world because there's only so much VRAM and system memory, and that game needs a lot. So, like more than 16 combined total. Like right now we're using 16 already, and we're not even loaded into the game yet. I'm curious to see how much it actually uses. The main issue I ran into a lot of stuttering with the original Ally was when you go to big mode, when you fly your fluffy friend. That's when it goes to crazy stutter mode in the Ally, like constant 1% load drops as you move around the world. It just can't keep everything in system memory. So right now it's pulling 20 total gigs between VRAM and system memory. Now 22 gigs, 23. Let's check our settings. So Epic DLSS DLAA frame generation, I'd probably keep it at 2x. This is probably how I would try to play the game on this system if I were to actually play the game on this system. This is not how we're going to benchmark it though, because benchmarking, all the previous benchmarks we have are with DLSS on quality, but DLAA is a better graphical setting for this game. So DLSS on quality with no frame gen is our comparison benchmark that we use. So no frame gen means 62 FPS is plenty good. And if we were to actually, ooh, we had one little stutter there. If we were to actually take and add frame gen, we'd probably be looking at about 90 to 100 FPS. Aside from that one micro stutter, we've had fairly consistent frame time graph. 59 FPS, 44 for a 1% low. Very nice. Let's flip on frame gen and run around the circle again. I only recommend 2x frame gen. So now we're doing 106. 1% lows are bugged though. Let's go back and restart it. For 1% low, we're gonna have to capture that with frame view. See, I would switch to frame view for capturing all the benchmark data, but the problem is sometimes frame view just is bugged in some games and doesn't work at all. Which puts me in a really awkward position. So I mainly still use Afterburner. Okay, 105.76 with frame gen on 2x, Epic DLSS, very nice. Expedition 33, really fantastic game. It's my game of the year that I would say after all the games that I've played this year. It's really just great voice acting, very engaging story. Amazing music, and I do think the combat's pretty fun. Like it takes some strategy, it takes timing, and you have to know what your characters do, and you have to know the animations of the enemy character, and when you're first encountering an enemy, you probably will die to them. Okay, so we're doing the low default preset with FSR on native. So there you go. This is the primary way we're doing this benchmark going forward. All right, so let's see what we can average for our FPS here. 430 FPS currently. So I think most people, if they see this high of FPS, they're probably going to turn on anti-aliasing. That'll make everything just look a little sharper. Absolutely. Really great FPS though. I mean, it's hard to complain about the FPS you're getting here. Your target's 240. I mean, really, realistically, your ideal target is probably providing 1% lows that hit your refresh rate in Counter-Strike. That would probably be the ultimate in esports performance, because then you're getting absolutely the best possible performance that you can get. 437 FPS on average, 159 for the 1% lows. The new smoke effects look really sick. Counter-Strike is probably the game that I have the most hours in. That or Dota 2. Counter-Strike 1.6 was my main game I played for like 5 years, 4 years in high school, basically all of high school and late junior high. Okay, so we got 458.9 for our average, 167 for our 1% low. That is phenomenal performance. And we can plug this into our graph. We can. The tricky part here is that what did we get? 458.9. 58.9 and 167.0. Wow. That is really good. Counter-Strike 2, low default settings. The only thing here is the Vector is running native instead of FSR unbalanced. And we got 458.9 now. The actual FPS value you get changing the FSR probably is irrelevant because you're not GPU bound, you're CPU bound. I don't think it's really going to change the values here, at least on any of the high-end GPUs. So 458.9 almost matches the SCAR 18. Crazy. MSI Raider, 538, 545, 578 for the Legion 9. The Strix G16 with the HX3D, 593. So a 5070 Ti with the HX3D beats out a 5090 with the Intel 275. And the very top end of the result is the HX3D with a 5090 at 706. So the Vector is providing phenomenal value for your money. You know, that's crazy good value for your money. So good job. And definitely beats out the other thinner and lighter CPUs here. The Intel 275HX, it's not the peak of performance. Like we can see that we're getting a lot better CPU performance and probably related to the RAM performance too. CS is probably sensitive to the RAM speed as well as the overall CPU wattage that it can pull inside of a game. So 275HX is doing good, but not as good as some of these other Intel 275s. It's a pretty significant difference, actually. It's interesting. The SCAR 18 not doing so well in these benchmark comparisons, that's for sure. Okay. I'm going to put on this result, I'm just going to put native. Cool. All right. Because I don't want to have to rerun this. Cyberpunk 2077 might be our last benchmark. Maybe we can do Dead Space as well. It'd be nice if we could get through at least 10 games today. We got through a bunch of synthetic tests too in the benchmark data. Arc Raiders and Apex Legends take a while. All right, Cyberpunk 2077. Did I accidentally exit it? No. Okay, good. I thought I might have accidentally clicked the X down there. So, in Cyberpunk 2077, we get a little bit of CPU bounding here in this red engine game, especially inside the cities. A little bit of memory sensitivity. But it's mainly going to be GPU bound, especially when ray tracing is turned on and all of the features are turned up. if you are watching this and you are not subscribed, I would invite you to consider subscribing. So, Ray Tracing Ultra DLSS will be on quality. Frame generation on neural network. We're going to have to restart the game. No path tracing. Let's revamp this. I'm tempted to try benchmarking this going forward with path tracing turned on. Maybe laptop hardware is ready for that. I don't know. Maybe it's not. It's tempting. The difference between ray tracing and path tracing is, ray tracing has most of the sources of light being drawn through rays in the game. Path tracing, all of the sources of light are being drawn through rays of light moving through the game. Meow. 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 Yeah? Okay. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Can you stay chill? All right. Ready to run this benchmark. Let's go. We're using FrameView to capture our 1% low, Afterburner to get our data. GPU boost clock is really good at 2700, 2760. GPU temps are good in the 60s. I'm sure they'll go up a little bit. CPU temps are also pretty dang good in the mid to low 70s. Our FPS counter, 102 versus this thing 110 over here. That's interesting that Afterburner has such a big discrepancy. Oh wait, that's the average. This is the active. Okay, never mind. I'm being silly. So they're providing the same data. .7 gigs of VRAM utilization out of our 12 gigs, which is why I recommend getting a 5070 Ti. A lot of modern games, especially at QHD resolutions, still really prefer more than 8 gigs. 105.75 for our average FPS and 1% low here in Cyberpunk QHD+. So this is a value we can plug into our comparison graph as well. Let's see here. What did we get? 105? $105.75, right? Yeah. All right. Cyberpunk 2077, QHD Plus Ultra, ray tracing on Ultra, DLSS on quality with 2x frame gen. Neo 16 capping it out at 145 FPS, but the Vector coming in at 105, right in the middle of the pack, outperforming the RTX 5090 and the Zephyrus G16, even outperforming the Strix G16 5070 Ti with the HX3D chassis. That's interesting. Very good performance here from this MSI laptop. Very big difference as well between the G16 5070 Ti and this Vector 16HX 5070 Ti. That full power 5070 Ti just shining through. Also that CPU providing better 1% lows at 75 versus 55, 52, 57. I will say the Strix with the HX3D though, 82 for the 1% low still beats the Vector's 1% low of 75. So even though the average FPS is better in the Vector, the 1% low, shockingly, is still better with the HX3D. So in terms of smoothness of feel, they might actually be kind of close. Now for fun, let's try path tracing with the transformer model. Path tracing. So transformer quality, ray reconstruction, 2x frame gen. Let's see how much performance we get with this. This is going to be an interesting one. Oh my, kitty cat just flopped down right behind the laptop. Hey buddy. Hi. Are you going to make the laptop overheat? Hey, no. No kicking the laptop. Come here. Meow, 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 meow. No. I was distracted and unable to do my frame gen benchmark correctly. So frame view will not be able to give us accurate 1% lows because I did not start it in time. I was distracted with a kitty cat. Rocky not being a very good assistant right now. 134 for our wattage, 140. Nice GPU wattage pull overall, for sure. 70 FPS. It's going to be playable, but it's not going to be in the ideal frame rate range. 51 for a 1% low, at least over here for frame view. 68 for our average FPS with path tracing with transformer model. Interesting. All right, last game. Let's load up Dead Space. And we'll see how we do in Dead Space. DLSS, quality, ultra preset. It was set to the wrong resolution. Okay, that's fixed. All right, so there we are. I wonder why our suit is different than their suit. Like we got all this extra mechanical mumbo jumbo on our suit and a crazy helmet on. CPU temps and GPU temps are looking very good in this game. Sometimes the CPU ramps like crazy with this game. Not for the Vector though. All right, we are walking. This is our benchmark pathway for this game. 115 FPS, 79 for 1% low, 140 on the wattage, 61 on the CPU. Man, this laptop has had some of the most consistent temperatures, GPU wattage levels, consistently high levels of performance. I'm very impressed with the actual way the laptop handles its performance values and numbers. Like the MSI engineers seem to have really nailed it on this thing. 126.82. 126.82 for dead space. Awesome. All right. So, we made it down to dead space. About halfway through all the benchmarks for today. There will be a part 2 of this live stream. So be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. And there will be a final summary review put together of all of these benchmarks in big comparison charts and everything eventually. So that'll happen. There will be an unboxing as well. So I think there will be at least 2 more parts to this live stream series on the MSI Vector. So be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on those. We'll see you in the next one. Brandon out. Yes. No questions in chat? Good. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. You're the best. Haha. Making sure the chat is working. Yes, chat's working just fine. Anyway, thank you guys for watching.